Thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you, as usual, whenever, wherever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Today's knowledge sharing is much as the reality about the life of the man, that is the what we call it daylight, is part of our life if we live within the structure of the solar system. We have a physical dimension in the solar system. But has or any of our scientists or knowledgeable people have looked to see where is the sun of this galaxy, or as we always assume, we were told there is a what we call a black hole in the center of every galaxy and universe. Does this entity shine lights on the rest of it, the way our star does in our solar system? And if it does, what color would that be? What light does it create? And as we said in the very first paper, when we opened this knowledge about the creation of black hole, that the black holes actually are the recycling system, and at the same time, when any matter goes in due to interaction of the fields, releases some light, then it comes a question to ask: how and if and there is a light shining, that if we go out of the solar system, we'll see it. There are many moons and many planetary systems in this solar system, but somewhere when we look, or somehow when we rotate, we see the sun, we see the daylight, confirmation of its interaction with our system we call Earth. But does or would we be able to see the light in the center of our galaxy if we go outside the solar system? And what about if we actually, instead of looking into the universe, looking from outside the Milky Way, would we see light from the center of the universe? If we understand this, and if we can elaborate on the knowledge of interaction of magnetic fields, then a new horizon of knowledge opens up. Totally unknown, but known to us because we have seen it on Earth. When the field of the Earth and the sun interact, we get the daylight. So this time we are not on a planetary system. This time we are in the space between the solar systems, between the galaxies. And the light of the center has to interact with us direct. And how would that light, how would that energy will change us, will affect us? Would it enlighten us to see the whole of the process of the creation in the galaxy, or the process of the creation in the universe? As there is no intermediaries, there is no sun to have a solar system to cover us, there is no galaxy to cover us, that we are within it. Then, when we go out of the solar system into the our galaxy, where we have no light to interact with, as we are outside the system, and would we see a light in the center of the galaxy? And would we feel fields which come directly from the center? And as of the last week we were talking, would we, if we go out of the galaxy, the light shining from the center, which is from the creator, would we be able to see it? Would it interact in the vision of the man if we are traveling in a body of them? Or would our soul will interact with this field? We'll be enlightened. And what would it do to it? This is one of the conditions, one of the dilemmas that the knowledge seekers who go through transmutation and through the same as transportation in a coming time in the openness man of the universe will face. We consider the center of the universe as a black hole, but that black hole, by inheritance of its field, creates a light too. So is that the light of the creator? Because it comes from the center of our universe. Then it comes the question to ask from us: does it matter if you are within the physicality of the man? If you're on the planet Earth, if you're outside the Earth, if you're outside the solar system, if you're outside the galaxy, or maybe outside the universe, in universe, would we be able to receive the light, the information or enlightenment from interaction in the field of our souls with the soul of the Creator? And what effect will have this on us as a knowledge, enlightenment, or whatever we call it? Many of you knowledge seekers which start going through what we call transmutation, we will see the light. Because you can and you have the ability as a simple soul, as a single structure, to travel the span of the universe. And maybe universe. So in that process of transmutation as an energy, as a soul, you cannot be confined to the planet Earth. You cannot be confined to the solar system. Your soul is not confined to the span of this galaxy and the universe. Then what would you see? What will you observe about yourself? And how would you see the enlightenment? The energy you receive directly from the source. The biggest question is, do you like what you see? Is this what you were expecting? Is this the process of totality? Rick, your microphone is open. And then going through the whole process, we have to understand the process of translating this field, transferring this field. Would this field to us be normal, but enlightenment to another? We're getting very close to a phase of transmutation for many of you knowledge seekers in the next few weeks. And some of you have already managed to achieve it. And you will see this light. The first times you deny it. And as you start understanding the process, you'll take it as your guideline, as your, what I call, light of the knowledge. You will see the sun. You tell us, I've seen the sun, I've been in the sun. But is this the sun of reality, the sun of the knowledge? Is it the sun of enlightenment? Or is it just merely the sun as a sun? And through this interaction, are you lit up or are you enlightened? And many of you, which go through this transmutation system, through the transmission structure, have to be conscious to ask yourself, do I see the light of the Creator? Or do I see the light of a star? Or do I get enlightened by the knowledge of the Creator? And what do I expect from it? And what can I do with it? Many of you, in the past 2 years, this June, this month, is 2 years since we started these processes with the systems, tell us you've been to the sun. But knowing the way you travel, does the sun, the light you see as the sun, is it the light of enlightenment? Or is it just the light in the physical matter? Then, once you see that, for you to test, you will understand if you receive the answer through the soul or you receive the answer verbal. In a way, you don't need to talk to be enlightened. You don't need to be talked to be enlightened. In the next 24 hours, many of you will go through the same process again. And in that process, we will ask you to do many things and choose position in respect to what you consider is physical and something you consider is in my thoughts. None of you will be wrong. You're all correct in what you see, because you see according to enlightenment of your soul and the knowledge of the time, space, and place. In a way, the light you see, you don't look at the light as the light of the sun. You have to ask for the light of enlightenment. Means you can ask in that moment what you want, because you see the true light. And if you receive that light, if you understand that light, if you can communicate with that light, you will get what you need. You will get what will serve you. It's not that I want a pot of gold and you're given a gold. I want to speak such a language. I want to understand a new emotion. I want to understand more about transmutation. And then you see, by seeing that light, if the enlightenment of the knowledge of the universe opens up to you. And how do you interpret it? What's the interpretation of it? How can you apply it in the dimension of the soul which you travel? And would you be able to apply it when you convert, when you land, when you take back in the shape of physicality? Now you know, many of you have traveled to the sun. Many of you have seen the sun in the time of these transmutation sessions, or when you went through the system in lens. But now comes to understand what is there that you see. And if you master this point over next times again and again, you will find this is a switching point where you go from France to China, and you go through this point of enlightenment and you speak Chinese. You understand the whole culture because you'll be enlightened by the light of the knowledge. But you have to know how to switch. You have to know how to bring it in, and you have to know how to use it. So when you go back and you become a Frenchman again in a few days or hours or weeks, you go through the same enlightenment. You don't turn up as a Frenchman in middle of Paris, but they're speaking Chinese because you just departed from China through transmutation. And we will see this. We know this. Many of us, we heard many people talk about when they go over or they cross the line, they see a light. This light is the light of enlightenment, not light of death. And we see that and you understand this in a different way when you're transmuting. You don't see that at the end of the line that you change and you die and it was so peaceful. You know, this is a sign of me to get, to be able to achieve, to have the possibility of going through. It's like a sound barrier. You have to go through it. You see the light. I learn French. I want to learn German. I want to learn about the history of the universe because it's all there. This is a switching point. Now, especially in the last few sessions, last couple of months, on the Friday sessions, a large number of knowledge seekers have been battling with this. They go to the sun. I went to the sun, but did you stand still that sun? When you go, you can ask for enlightenment, you can ask for the knowledge, and it'll be given to you. I went to the moon, played with the sand. I went to see my uncle. That's all in the dimension of the soul. But when you wish, when you go through that point of enlightenment, when you see that sun, it's not the sun as what's on the earth you're used to. That's the sun of knowledge. That's the enlightenment. This is the barrier you break. But as you don't know what you do, you are not aware of it. Oh, I went in the center of the sunlight. But did you ask to learn the language of the man, the entity which lives within that sun? Could be any planetary system, could be anywhere in the universe, and you will understand that you understand the language and maybe understand the culture, strong enough, be able or do translate it to and communicate with them in their language. And as you're still connected your physical dimension of solar physicality, you still hear and feel the emotion as you are in a physical matter. This switching, this light, this enlightenment, the sun you go to, you have to get used to what it means. It means you're going through that barrier. It means you have received the gift, the beauty of the creation, that how you can go to somewhere else. As I said, in the world of the physics of today, we call it the sound barrier, and it breaks, and we hear it, we see the cloud. But in the term of the speed of the light of the soul of the man with the light of the creation, you still see that light. It's usually goldish color. And if you become used to, at that point, you elevate your soul, you raise the knowledge, you enlighten yourself that this is a switching point. What do I want to know? And what of it I want to take back with me in my dimension of physicality? Not just the memory of seeing the sun, but remembering I speak in humans' thoughts, but the voice comes out different, and these different things in the universe understand me. And they still go gibberish to me, but I understand translation of it back to me in the language of the man. And to what extent, you knowledge seekers, in the coming time, when you go through this enlightenment, How many of you learn to ask for? How many of you learn to be with? How many of you will come out of it enlightened with your knowledge of the creation? Not just seeing the uncle, the dad, the mom, and two donkeys down the hill grazing on the grass. This is what many of you knowledge is. In the coming weeks, in the coming time, as we go through this, what we call enlightenment sessions of transmutation, you come across. Those of you who go on through it tomorrow, and those of you who go through it in the following months, you'll become very used to it. And you come back, maybe you talk to a partner, this is what it means in Chinese, where you never spoken a word of Chinese. Because in the light of enlightenment, you wanted to speak Chinese. In the light of enlightenment, you wanted to be a physicist, understand one part of the physics which has never been understood. And then, if you become good at it, you do it quite often. In a way, universe becomes your encyclopedia. And instead of going on the mobile phone and going to Google and Google it, in a way, you plasma pattern work it. You go to the light. And this is how man will progress. Those of you who understand the process of transmutation will gain the knowledge of the universe. You tap in into the light of the knowledge of the creation. And many of you knowledge seekers in past 2 years we've been with you, you have said to me, I went to the sun. And many times I said, do they know what they're talking about? Do they know they've been touched with the light of the creation? The knowledge of it, the understanding of it. And next time, when you want to understand how a structure works in the universe, you read something in the newspaper or you hear something in the news that there is such a structure in the universe, you go through your transmutation phase, which you have trained yourself, and you see, you can go to that point of the light to see the light, and you ask the light, how does this work? Show me. And then you start learning how to use the vast knowledge of the universe and universe to be at your fingertip. Don't need to read imaginary knowledge of the man, which is all fake, but you learn from the knowledge of the creation. You become observer. And so many of you which join us in these sessions, and many of you will go through transmutation in years and years to come. You learn about the light. You learn about the enlightenment. You learn about, it's not just I can go there and I sleep, or I go and go to the moon. Is to learn how to behave, that you become servant to those who need to learn, and not arrogant that I can do and become again going backwards. Many of you will come to do this, and many of you will come to understand this. In tomorrow's session, we ask all the participants to come in with 2 headphones, and possibly connected to 1 mobile phone, or with 2 headphones connected to 2 mobile phones. And we tell you how to connect it, and then we try to take you through this, that through emotion you can understand the work of the enlightenment. That you don't need to talk, but you transfer the emotion, the point that you're aware of the emotion, and that emotion being aware of and taking yourself to the dimension of understanding the energies of the universe, you can go through transmutation. So those of you who been there, those of you maybe by training or by accident or whatever, come to see this light, the enlightenment light. Just don't call it and don't consider it to be the sun you're used to and going inside it. Try to ask a question of it. Try to live with it to see how it lives and build a new future for mankind and for yourself. The ability to comprehend is far, far more harder and harsher than anything else. In the coming time, many of you as knowledge seekers, from now on, when you go through this system and you go through to see the light, if you become fortunate enough to do, please do not jump in. Understand how to interact with it, that the light brings you enlightenment direct, not waiting for a day or two, see what else comes back. And when in the future mankind learn this, they know how to transmute, and at what point, even arriving at the point of destination, can go back to the light of enlightenment, the soul of the man's interaction with the soul of universe, and receive the knowledge, how to survive, how to live, and what shape you will be, what shape you are, and what are the things you need to survive. As your true interaction with this light, you tap into the enlightenment of the light of the citizens of that space, time, and place. And they do not need to be tangible for you to see. They could be just fields and energies, a combination of interaction of fields. I had to teach this today because I know many of you knowledge seekers in a session tomorrow will go through this. And you have to be prepared. And we'll ask you to tap into the knowledge and see what is the knowledge. And this is the way, as if you remember the first times, I said last couple of weeks as well, when you went into the Obisos in Lens, when you came, you said, whatever you say, we accept. Whatever you say, because you are there to interact with it, you've been present. In the session of tomorrow and in coming weeks, we try to bring you to understand the knowledge of universe through your own soul. To not just being baffled by seeing the sun, and I went to the sun. That sun is the sun of knowledge. How can I click to it? How can I touch it? That I receive the knowledge of creation in what I want to do. And one key thing is never ask for all. That's the time when you receive none. Always be humble, that you can receive. Always be obedient, that you can be followed. And always follow the ethos of Mitra. Never use the knowledge to harm, and you understand the knowledge of creation will be open to you beyond imagination. So when you see the sun next time, ask yourself two questions. Is this the sun to me as a physical dimension of my life? Or is this the sun to me as the knowledge of the creation to my soul? Do I see it with the eye of the man, or do I see it to the understanding of the enlightenment of my soul? And then, if you can interact these two emotions, you will be fit to become the traveler of the universe, because you know how to survive. The very first time you do it is frightening, very frightening in a way unbelievable. Some people will get scared. I did, and it happened, but I couldn't handle it. And gradually you get used to it. As I said, it becomes your Google map. It becomes your sun. It becomes your life map. It becomes the way you travel this part of the universe. As I said in the session of July, August, September, we take a small groups to especially deliberately to elaborate and expand this point for you how to tap. You land here, as I always said, when we took off, we have the taking off. The question was, so what's next? What are we going to do when we go on the moon? You go, you learn to transmute. When you get there to a new dimension, how am I going to speak the language? How am I going to live in this environment? What do I need to bring forth in my soul that interaction with the environment of the place leads to manifestation of my physicality in a correct way and a safe way? And then you understand how to transmit. Then you understand what is the purpose of all these, what we call sessions we put for you to slowly come in. Because a number of you knowledge seekers have seen the sun and you are still in the process of being a man. You went in it. You didn't ask a question from it. You did not manifest your desire to receive that the knowledge opens to you. You ask, you'll not be given. Be humble to receive, you'll be receiving. And then you understand how mankind will change in the future, and how transmutation and physical transfer will become a joint venture for man in every dimension of creation. Because then you recognize, I have transmuted, I transferred, this was the light I asked for, the light of the knowledge to stay on this planet. And now through interaction of being a planet with another sun, another star, I see the physical light of the place. So you enter two suns. One when you leave, and one when you return, as you have to return back to the position and time of the place. As this time, as is usual, you buy a return ticket, but sometimes some of us buys the extra ticket in the middle. I'm going to New York, I better go and see Dallas too, and then come back to New York to come back home. Then you see, then you understand how the game is played, how we had to take you step by step to understand the knowledge, how so many of you had to see the sun to understand it, that now by seeing it, you can communicate with it, you can be enlightened by it, and then through that enlightenment, take manifestation of physicality. In a way, it's the ticket to the universe. It's the ticket to travel the span of universe through the soul of the man, and not with the aircraft, UFOs, and all the habroom and it's got used to and doing it. It's not a rocket science. It's the science of how the universe works. And up to now, you always looked at the sun as the light. Now you have to look at that sun in a dimension of interaction with your soul is the light of the sun of enlightenment. And you have to know how to handle it. And then if you know, you get used to it, then you can become true citizens of the universe, because you can go to it, transfer through it, manifest through it, live through it, and return back from it to it. I hope your knowledge seekers understand what is there, and I hope many of you will achieve this tomorrow. Many of you will achieve to be able to control it in the next few months as it comes, and we bring it to the point that many of you can concentrate. We go for a break, we come back, and we try to talk a little bit more deeper in this and others, and hopefully be able to answer some of your questions.